Hello, hello, hello. It's, I won't put it any other way. It's a miserable week. It's Wednesday as the day of recording this. The weather is, well, for my Game of Thrones fans, winter is here. Winter is upon us. It's so cold. It's like 14 degrees, but it feels like 7. There's a very mist chill to the air, and it's like, I really could have done this at home, but sorry, I had to fix that. I'm just gonna do it again, I know it. I spent majority of the fucking last podcast trying to fix the fucking mask the entire time. But there's one thing I want to do say is I want to say for the continued support on people actually watching these videos. As I say, this was something I want to stay committed to. I have more videos lined up of what I want to talk about. Some more serious videos as well regarding like the government and where money should go with it and what I believe it should go into. But because I've had such a bit of a shit week, I thought what's one thing that always makes me smile is stories. Hold on. Thought this video was just gonna be just like the last one. Oh fuck it. You can see my chin on the car. Yeah, stories. So I'm gonna do one maybe next week on stories that are more memorable to me and that are funny. I just can't. I didn't have the right process and the right enthusiasm to do it this week because I've had such a bad week, and I'm not going to go into detail on it obviously, but it's just things that's happened, and it's kind of opened my eyes to certain things in the world about this year's been such a shit year as a whole, and in the last few months it's really coincided with me how many people who are actually there for me. So yeah, but as I say, talking about stories which make me laugh, as you can tell by the title of the video, I have had a number of, as you can tell, I seriously can't talk today. I've had an unhealthy amount of encounters with policemen. Not in a bad way at all. These are funny experiences, which is why I thought I'd give them my little halababa and tell you guys. Hold on. Okay, you can see my nose for now. It's not that bad. So my first proper encounter, I would say, happened about. So I should reiterate. I've never been one for getting in trouble. I've never really been one to get in trouble, like have police turn up at my door for doing stupid stuff. Mainly because like I'm terrified of it, and it terrifies the hell out of me. So my first real like funny encounter with the police was about 2-3 years ago. It was around Christmas time, and as you can tell, I've got headphones on. And I had headphones on at that time, and I've got into the habit now of not doing it because I'm more self-conscious about it now. But I used to do this thing where I would sing abidely and out and about and didn't give a fuck what people thought. Like, I'm listening to the song, you're gonna hear what I'm singing. And I went past this cop car and they had the window open, and all of a sudden this cop got out of his car, the policeman got out of his car, and he was like, alright. He stopped in front of me and I was like, oh, hi. And he was like, right, I'm gonna have to arrest you. And I panicked. I was like, what the hell did I do? Did I cross the road when I wasn't meant to? Did I don't know. I was like thinking the worst. I was like, what the hell did I do? Did I do something bad last week? Like, did I go? I pick up a speeding ticket I don't know about. We'll get onto that in a minute. But yeah, and then I was like, what? Why am I being arrested? And then he said, put your hands behind your back. So I did, like, submissively as fuck. And then he was like, right, I'm arresting you. And then he started to laugh. And he was like, I'm arresting you for having the balls to sing in public with that kind of voice. And I looked at him and I was like, really, dude? Really? And he doubled over and started laughing. Fucking asshole, now I think about it. But him and his buddy, they were like, oh, like, I was like, it went from really shock horror to like, wow, really? You just roast me like that? That's because I've not got a good singing voice at all, but I did not need to get told by a policeman, of all people. But that policeman is quite like, it's kind of a funny story on like an afternoon to that. Like, obviously that happened, and then as I said, this was around Christmas time, a few weeks before, and then on the 20th, like on Christmas Eve, I had to go out. Hold on. I had to go out, and I had to go to Sainsbury's, and I'm driving around Sainsbury's, obviously, and I bump into him and his wife, and I was like, and he wagged his finger at me and went, no singing, so I started singing, and he laughed, but it was quite packed, obviously, so not many people heard us. And then his wife went, oh, yes, she said kid, are you the kid that he tried to arrest? And I was like, I'm the adult he tried to arrest. And then she was like, oh, how old are you? I'm like, I'm 22. She went, oh, I'm so sorry. And she started laughing as well. But it just became, it's now a running theme. Every time I see him, obviously, he will wag his finger going, no singing. So that was like one time I got pulled over by the police, if you would. The next time was like, I literally, so as I say, beginning of this, I said Game of Thrones is one of my favourite shows. I will do favourite TV shows and things later down the line. But one of my favourite shows is Game of Thrones. And that year, actually, which is kind of funny in how it all interludes, yeah, that year, I got a Game of Thrones hoodie. It was an over-the-top one, and I loved this hoodie. I loved it. I wore it all the time. I genuinely would still wear it if I knew where it was, because I don't know where it's gone. It went missing. But I love that hoodie, and it's like my go-to hoodie. But I remember it was like going into the new year, and I was going down to Iceland in Downham, and I drove past the park, near to the park obviously, and a cop car just screeched and stopped, and the cop poked his hand out the window. He was like, mate. I was like, what did I do? I'm like, what the hell did I do now? And he laughed at me. No, what'd you do? And I was like, he went, no, you didn't do nothing. I was like, okay, what do you want? He goes, where'd you get the hoodie? And I said, Mom, I got it from Primark. And he goes, oh, that's sick. And he was also a Game of Thrones fan, but so was his daughter. And he wanted to get one for his daughter. So he went, so that was like a nice one. That was like, the other one was nice as well, but this was just like a heartwarming one. I could bond over something with the policeman. But he's like, yeah, great, I'll try and catch you, thank you. I was like, no worries. But they've been two good instances I've had with the police, obviously. And I want to say this has never been a bad experience with the police, but I've had experiences where I don't know how I'm going to title this video, because I have to say it's going to obviously have to say, like, my experiences with the police, and probably how I nearly got robbed. Because, and this is it's happened quite a few times. There was one occasion that I was coming back from the cinema, picked up some tickets, and as I'm driving, sorry. Sam, you're in a fucking wheelchair, mate. Wheelchair. Yeah. I'm in the wheelchair and I'm driving home, and I'm crossing over this bridge, like on my way home. This guy stands in front of me, and I was like, oh shit! I had my headphones on, smiled, and I thought, oh, maybe he wants to go past me. So I went one way, he went the same way. Then I went the other way, then he went the same way, and I was like, okay, something's fishy right now, because he's doing this like on purpose. Then I felt a hand come over my shoulder and grab this, and I was like, fuck. And the thing was, this was in broad daylight. I was getting robbed. These three little pricks thought it was a brilliant idea to try and rob me in broad daylight. Now, thankfully, where I stopped outside a cafe, and it was all glass, obviously, so you can see inside. This gentleman who used to work at a cafe ran into the dudes that was grabbing my bag, grabbed one of them by the scruff of the neck, two of them ran off, and then the other one fought free and ran. The guy then said to me, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine. I was a bit shaken by the whole thing, obviously. We did report it to the local police, obviously. They said they can't really do much about it, because it was just, like, in their books, it was nothing against them. It was their book says it was difficult for them to ID these people, as I never really got a good look at the people grabbing the thing. I only got a good look at the person who was in front of me. So I gave the description, obviously, of what they were like, what their build was like and everything. And then a few weeks later, obviously, I was going past the shop and the guy came out again. And he's like, oh, mate. I was like, alright. And he goes, oh, I forgot to tell you, the guys who tried to rob you, these guys were idiots. They thought it was a great idea to try. So their scheme was to rob people with inability to defend themselves. So they tried to rob me, and then they also tried to rob this little old lady. But the guy kind of like bonded out, took one of that, helped the lady, but he managed to grab one this time, and he grabbed him by the scruff of the neck, dragged him inside, and made him stay inside until he called the police. And then the guy, once the police came, the guy that he had admitted to the felonies, and then gave up the other two as well. And because the gentleman who helped me was a positive ID on them, I never had to do anything like to face him or nothing, which was nice. So I've had that experience of where I've nearly been robbed. I had another one where I was in Downham Sainsbury's, someone tried to nick my wallet, but the security guard stopped him, which was nice. Again, bit hot. It's kind of frightening that people tend to prey on the weak, obviously, because I can't defend myself or do anything. But the most recent attack, I would say, on me is the most disheartening to me, which happened because it was last November. I think it was either November or October. Me and Nath were walking back from the cinema, and it was really, really dark, obviously, but it was only like, I don't know, 5-6 o'clock. It really wasn't that late. And we're walking back, and I'm trying to ring someone to talk to on the phone, obviously. No one's picking up, because that was the thing. I was like, oh, if I talk to someone on the way home, it'll be better, and that way I've got like assurance no one's going to mess with me because I'm on my phone. We ended up, me and Nath were walking past these bunch of, when I say this, these are 4 grown men. I'm talking, they're in their 40s, and they are pissed out their heads, and we walk past them, and then they instantly, because they're drunk, they think they have every right in themselves to push me and Nathan around. They pushed Nathan off. Nathan ran offside to shout to make sure he wouldn't go any further. They tried to push me into the road. And it basically terrified me for about, I don't know, more than a month before I actually ventured back outside, because I was in such a state of panic and a state of shock that this happened to me. Like, I get it, mess about with me if you're like, if it's just me on my own, but what pissed me off the most is that they could see they could see Nathan had something wrong with him, they could see I had something wrong with me. I'm in a fucking wheelchair, for God's sake. But they still thought it was in their right, because they were drunk, to fuck about with us and like demean us like we were nothing. And I laugh now because I laugh now, obviously, looking back on it and how it was. It was scary, because these are meant to be full grown adults, and they're like pushing me about and grabbing me and nearly pushing me into the road, and it really wasn't a fun experience. So I'm always like very cautious about going out and doing things now. Like, I'm not one to go out and about past a certain time, because in case something happens, especially on my own. So there was that. And but leaning onto that story, obviously, a few weeks after that, like obviously it took me about a month to go out, but when I did go out, I was still very, 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 very scared. But I went and got some shopping, and I came back the same way that I normally would. And as I was coming back, I was going past the tram station, and which is where it occurred. I saw like a car crash happen. Like, two cars smashed into each other, and I was like, oh fuck's sake, I've got to wait. Obviously there's police at the scene taking statements and everything. Now, as I told you, I see the guy who tormented me in the first story. He's a very lovely bloke and likes to joke about me, but he's a policeman first and foremost. So he came up behind me and went, hope you're not singing. I jumped. Like, genuinely, I jumped. And I started to shake. Like, I was shaking like that. And he was like, dude, what's wrong? Now, what had happened was, I was looking at the people in the car, and then he did that, obviously, and it scared me straight up, obviously. And then I looked again in the car. Two of the grown men who had assaulted me the month before were sitting in one of the cars. And I was like, you're not gonna fucking believe me. He was like, dude, I'm a police officer, what happened? So I reiterated what happened the month before, obviously. And he said, oh yeah, we kind of heard about this, but we obviously, we reported it at the time, obviously. My mum was furious, because it affected me and my confidence, affected Nathan a little bit of his confidence. And it's just one of those scenarios that never should happen. But I told the guy, obviously, my police officer friend, and he was genuine enough to say, right, if there's anything I can do for you, like, do you want to press charges and everything against these people? And I said, would I have to go and talk and identify them and everything and shit like that? I saw it as that was too much for me to do. Obviously, I do hope that these guys do get their comeuppance at some point, but I couldn't bring myself into doing more, like pressing charges and everything. But I wanted him it was nice to know that he knew, obviously, in case anything else happened further down the line with them too. So yeah, that's kind of been like my experiences with police and my experience of nearly being robbed and taken advantage of because I have a disability. But that kind of, the whole thing of it is like me and either robbed or pushed around or taken a piss out of. It is just because I've got a disability, and people tend to take that into effect of like, you can't defend yourself, and I can't. That's the one thing I can't do. I can't defend myself. I am a weakling, you know. I rely on others so much now that it is a standard of not just a want anymore. It is a need. I need others to help, and it just, there isn't enough help in the world, and if there isn't enough support for people like myself who are young and vulnerable, who just want to live their lives, and yet we are having to escapade into our own houses because going out terrifies us, which I think is the wrong thing to happen. But yeah, I do hope the government makes some choices and some ways to help out some young adults like myself, but we all know that's not going to happen. But yeah, that's just it. As I say, I'm really thankful for anyone that is watching this video and the past videos. It's been nice to know that I have support for these videos, as I'm very much committed into doing these every week. I know I missed 2 weeks of it because I was away, but there was no feasible way for me to do it, and it was nice having that little bit of a break. As I say, if you're new around here, please subscribe. If you've got any new video ideas for me to talk about, please write them in the description. Share the video around, let other people know. And yeah, I will see you all next week with a new video. Bye.